This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our partner, Audible.
Yes, it is. So we are partnered with Audible. That means that if you are looking just to check it out, you don't want to put your card in and just take the dive. You can get 30 days for free on us. If you go to audibletrial.com/JATG or click the link down below, you'll be taken there. You can sign up for 30 days for free and just test it out. Like there's a lot of stuff on there that you can get for free, a lot of Audible exclusives. But what I really like about Audible is that out of the hundreds and thousands of audiobooks that they have, if you decide to purchase something, that is yours forever. Like if you decide not to carry on your subscription or you want to take a break or whatever it is, you can always go back and listen to that book whenever you want through the app on the internet. Doesn't matter because it's yours. So once again, you can get that for 30 days for free on us if you go to audibletrial.com/JATG.
All right, we're live.
That's working.
That is working. Here we go. Happy New Year, everybody. We're back. Johnny and the Greg live. Thank you for all you people that have just been waiting on your phone or wherever it is that you hook up your Facebook.
Couldn't wait for the new year to get your Johnny and the Greg fix.
Yes. Couple announcements before we get going into this fun little podcast. We are going to try something new for this year. We're going to see how it works. So maybe we try it for a couple, maybe 6 months or so, but we're going to start streaming live on YouTube. So we won't be on Facebook anymore, but we want to do it this time just to let you guys know. So the next week we will be streaming on YouTube. Very easy to do that. You just subscribe to Johnny and the Greg podcast on YouTube, and there's a little bell there, and you just hit that. And it'll let you know when we're live on there. So
yes,
please jump over. It's not hard. I'm speaking to a certain mom that we both love, not to be afraid of switching over to a new service. All right.
It'll be, and one of the things that we are working on is right now the technology that we use only allows us to go live on one platform at a time.
Yes.
So we're looking into the technologies that allow us to do both.
Yeah, ideally. So if anybody's out there listening and they know how to do this, ideally what we'd like to do is go to stream on Facebook, stream on YouTube, and stream on Twitch all at the same time. Yeah. So I don't know if we require more oomph for that. So we'll see.
It will be one way or the other.
Yes, yes. So, all right. So a lot has happened already in this new year. I want to start here, and then we're going to go into what's going on with D&D. We're going to be going into how we felt about Willow. So those are just some things. But before we get that, if you guys have people that aren't into football, if you want to step away for a little bit and go get some nice beverage and come back to us, we're going to start where the season ended for both of our teams. And I just want to say it is such a weird thing to be a Bears fan because we were the worst team in the league by far. And somehow, some way, I walked away from the season happy, like ecstatic, actually, because a lot of good things are happening for the Bears. We got the number 1 overall pick. The reason that's exciting for us is because we control the draft. We control free agency. We just hired a new president who comes in very well qualified. It's the first time the Bears in 102 years, the first time they've hired outside of their organization to run their team.
Yep.
So that's a big change. So I think a lot of good changes coming. I'm excited, but I wanted to throw it to you, Greg, because I didn't get your thoughts on the Detroit Lions Green Bay Packer game. Go.
Not a lot of thoughts, honestly. I mean, it was, I like any other fan, I was holding out hope that the Packers would get it done. At the same time, really knowing that but like in my gut going, this isn't going to happen.
Oh,
Like,
your gut was telling you this
oh
isn't
yeah,
gonna work.
well, yeah, and it's been doing that since since mid-season when
Well,
how
that's not
far
hard. You
down
were
we.
4-8.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
and once that feeling gets in me, that's hard to get rid of.
I see.
Like
Okay.
that kind of doom, because I know. I mean, we've seen what kind of leader Rodgers is, and it's not very much of one. I
No.
mean, in terms of the other comparables of NFL quarterbacks that are
Yes.
out there.
Yes.
And
And to his credit, we are comparing him to the greats.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
well, honestly, I'm even comparing him to the people that are out there now.
okay,
Like,
fair
I
enough.
mean,
Like Mahomes and
Mahomes, even like Murray. I mean, even
who's
like
Murray?
Cardinals.
Oh, Kyler
Um,
Murray.
Kyler Murray.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
even like some of these other ones that are getting some spotlight for just trying to lead their teams and all those leadership skills. I didn't see those out of Rodgers, like on the field or off the field. I mean, we
Mhm.
talked a lot about um how in the beginning of the season how he just did not participate in any team activities. He was out kind of doing his thing. He didn't participate in the preseason, which at the time I kind of understood. He's like, well, I'm getting older. I don't want to get hurt in preseason. And I guess even during the preseason, I'm like, well, he's still like working with his team a little bit. And then no, he wasn't. Like
Oh, I
his
didn't
whole
know that. I understand preseason. A veteran doesn't want to do preseason. Totally get that. But I don't understand not showing up to OTAs when you have young wide receivers, a young team.
right. And
You all need to be on the same page.
they're green. They're new.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, they're going to be nervous playing with you. So you would want to work with them to get into the rhythm.
Right.
And so the first half of the season was just, I mean, and you'd see it. He'd hit guys in the hands and they drop ball.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Or he throw one way and they went another. Oh, I can't hear you. Did I lose you? I can't hear your voice. So I think maybe you got taken out. It seems that Greg is out. Unless I'm the one that's out and everybody else is. Shake your head if I'm the one that's out, Greg. Okay. I think Greg's out. For right now. We'll figure that out. Greg, if you want to come out and come back in, let me know and I'll just carry the show. So yeah, while Greg figures this out, I'm going to be talking. So yeah, I agree with Greg. I think the best thing to do for Aaron Rodgers, I think the best thing he should have done was he should have came in. Yep. I hear you, Greg. I can't hear you, but I can see you moving back and forth. Yeah. So take out. Yeah, there you go. So I think the best thing for Greg will be back, folks. The best thing for Aaron Rodgers to do is to definitely show up in this offseason. Like if he's coming back, and what's really weird about Aaron Rodgers is I feel like he's falling into the same trap that Brett Favre fell into, where it was, are you retired? Are you not retiring? Like he's coming in and out. He's not totally committed. And I think when the supposed leader of your team, especially a football guy, Greg's coming in right now, I think the best thing to do is to be all in. And if you're not all in a sport like football or any sport, you should just not be in. So Greg, you there, bud?
now we're back.
And now we're back. All right. So we had to Greg just had to restart his computer, I guess.
Oh my God, we're back again.
Yeah. So anyway,
yeah. So sometimes technology is fun, and your mic is like, we're gonna act like you did this for the first time ever. So
yeah,
that's what that was. As I was saying, okay, and now Facebook wants to do a little thing here, but anyway, so yeah, Rodgers didn't work with his receiving core, so I was just not expecting them to do much this season, especially when they started so shitty.
Yeah.
And then they got on a roll, and I was sort of, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, they made it. I mean,
Right.
And
well, I agree. I felt like all that time that he didn't showed up on the field. And finally, when they got together, they started rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just thought and I was saying when you were having trouble, I was saying to the audience, it's weird how he went from, it feels like he's going back to the entire, like him and Brett Favre are having these mirror endings.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, how the in and out, not in and out. And, you know, and especially in a game like football or a major sport, you need to be fully in or just get out.
It really seems, I mean, he was, do you remember when Favre left?
Yeah.
And then it was like, what was like he left, and I mean he was coming back, and then he left Rodgers on the hook for, I remember at the ESPYs, the sports awards, Justin Timberlake was hosting that year.
Yeah.
And he's like, Aaron, how you doing? What you been up to? You busy? Are you playing football? And well, we don't know yet. We don't know. And he's like picking on him. And I'm like, man, that's harsh.
Yeah.
And here's
for a guy like that, he takes that seriously. He's probably never talked to Justin Timberlake ever again.
Yeah. Well, and now he's doing this back and forth. And I don't know. I am myself just kind of over the Rodgers era.
I get it.
Like if he still brings home wins, great. But he's not bringing home wins, and he's a fucking diva. So I guess I'm just kind of done with him.
All right. So, makes sense. All right. I didn't want to do a lot of that, so we'll just keep that short. The last thing I do want to add in is crazy what the Wisconsin Badger football team is all of a sudden turning into.
Yep.
They've had 3 transfer portal quarterbacks come to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
When's the last, and they're all good. When's the last time that happened in Wisconsin football?
It is weird. I mean, and you even said down in the Chicagoland area, there are giant billboards up calling Illinois the pipeline to Wisconsin. I mean, it's all Badger football.
And for those of you that don't know what that really means, when it says when we're talking about college football recruiting, a pipeline is where you're getting talent from. Yeah. And Luke Fickell, and it's true. I mean, Jack Sanborn was Lake Zurich and Illinois, and he went up and played middle linebacker for you guys. For the Badgers. So it's not like it's true, but it's the first time I've ever seen a billboard in Illinois where they're saying a Wisconsin pipeline. And he did that more closer towards Chicago, where Northwestern is, where Illinois is coming back. And it's just funny how I've never seen this aggression or this aggressive, like recruiting in your face, like, hey, Wisconsin's coming. And I love it because I'm a Badger fan. So I love it. I think it's great.
We're definitely going to see a different style. I mean, I think Wisconsin football, and I'm going to say for the past 30 years, has really been the house that Barry Alvarez created.
Yep.
They like everybody that has been a head coach or whatever, they're going under that kind of Barry Alvarez model. Yep. And Barry Alvarez was the athletic director for, I don't know how many decades he was, but after he retired from a football coach, he became Wisconsin athletic director.
Yeah.
And he just retired from that, I think, like last year. They named
I think he moved into like the Big Ten offices.
Did he?
Yes.
I thought he retired. Doesn't matter. He's not like in Wisconsin. Athletics.
He's not a Badger anymore.
He's moved on to other things, retirement or whatever else. So it's almost like they've been able to, with the hire of Fickell, just be like, okay, we want you to be different. Like Wisconsin football has been known for certain things for the past 30 years. Go be different.
Yeah.
And he went, okay.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing. And
he's bringing a style that you guys, or I should say us, everybody I'm talking about, it's going to be so foreign to us.
It will be. There's a bravado that's happening that Wisconsin just isn't known for.
Right.
Like even our fan base, like and this is a very sweeping generalization, but even you talked about it when we went to the Packer game early this season, that we're not like in your face, kind of fans. We're super nice. We're super accepting of anybody who comes through. And then we know, like, hey, if we beat the crap out of you on a football field, it's like, hey man, thanks for coming. We're here, have a brat, have a beer on your way home. Yeah. And I think that's going to change a little bit in Wisconsin. The nicety will still be there, but it's like, hey, we're going to kick your ass.
Well, which is good. I think I'm excited because this is the first time I said, like, and I've been sending you and our friend Tony little snippets here and there of stuff I'm hearing. And One of them is players are starting to talk national championship, not Big Ten championship,
not Rose Bowl.
national championship.
Yeah,
like hanging out, like hanging with the big boys of Alabama and Georgia. We got a while to go with that, but if that's never been the battle cry for the Badgers,
it was always the
Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl. Yep. That's been since I was a freshman in high school. It's been like, that's our target. Our goal is the Rose Bowl, not the NCAA championship, not NCAA. It's just Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
And now they're like, Rose Bowl. Yeah, sure. That's our consolation prize. Oh, right. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's weird. That's really
weird. It's a weird feeling. It's just gonna be interesting.
Anyway,
I think to see what's gonna happen.
Yes, it's exciting. Next year's I don't think is going to take off as great as people might expect it, and I think you're going to get a lot of negative backlash. Like, go back to the I-form, run the football.
No. You see, this is such a Wisconsin thing. Is when we start to do bad, we'll just be like, well, we're rebuilding. It's a rebuilding year. I mean, it's that.
Okay.
It's going to be that attitude, because then you saw that with the Packers when we were 4-8. It's like, well, it's a new receiving core. You're just getting used to people. It'll be fine. We're going to turn it around. And
I didn't see that.
I see around here talking to people.
Okay.
There was a lot of those.
Yeah.
I called them excuses. I mean, because that's just where they turn, because you can't just come right out and say your quarterback is bad. Like, that's not in our DNA anymore.
You know what? It's funny you said that. It's so hard to think of Rodgers as bad. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I think you can definitely see he still has his Rodgers moments, and I mean good moments there. But then there's these moments where you're like, is he losing a step? Which he could be.
There were short passes that you're just like, where were you going?
Yeah.
Or he threw it like 5 yards short of his man.
I agree.
And a lot of people
I love
called that. They called that like, oh, the receiver didn't run the right route.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but as a quarterback, you can see where he is.
Yeah. So, well, in some offenses, believe it or not, you are trained to throw to a spot and hope that the guy gets there. Who's what we got comments?
Yeah. Somebody was complaining about the break in tonight's show. Well, technical issues happen.
Yes, that does.
It's something that even a small podcast like
I'm glad you're passionate about it, guy.
Yes, yeah, that's
or
good.
Girl. I don't know who's doing that, but I'm glad you're passionate about it.
Let's call him a girl because it's
okay.
So.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna move on. No more football, guys. Be happy. No more football.
We're still gonna be. I can't imagine where, like, I didn't watch any football today. Like, it was kind of weird because my kids were like, are we done? Is it over? I'm like, not quite. We're still going to watch some stuff and I'll keep track of Super Bowl. But like, I mean, the Vikings lost. That's pretty happy. Like, I'm not going to lie. That makes me the only thing that
either.
The only thing that would have made me happier is if they eked out a win and made it to the Super Bowl and then got absolutely annihilated. Like, that would have been nice for me.
Oh, I don't think they would have gotten past San Francisco. That's who they would have gone to next. And I think San Francisco is a juggernaut right now.
They are. Yeah, they had a great game. So,
and we'll see. So anyway, so we'll probably talk about as the Super Bowl gets closer and things like that. Anyway.
Yeah. What's next, John?
Yeah. So what we have next is something that's really upsetting me, and I didn't think it would upset me this much, but it's Willow.
Oh God, yeah.
That show Willow.
So
my God,
Disney Plus put out a Willow miniseries or series, 8 episodes, which we were actually pretty excited for.
Very excited.
And I think probably around the 3rd episode, I was like, "What are we doing here?"
Yep.
Like, where is this going?
I agree with you.
Everything down to the music choices for the show, like integrating modern music into this high fantasy world, which always the movie had I felt a good soundtrack, and it was just
dun 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 dun.
Yeah. I mean, it's repetitive,
great.
But it was a nice look, and I just the show, like, I don't know, it did not hook me at all. I mean, there was one cool moment in the last episode with a character who I absolutely despised, the princess.
Okay.
And then it hit me that they were just doing the old TNT show called Witchblade, which was based off of a comic book. And I'm like, oh, it's Witchblade. They stole from Witchblade. This is I hate this show.
Yeah. I felt this show belonged on the WB.
I think it belonged on the WB. You know what? Not even, the WB, like circa 1997.
Yep.
Like,
And I felt like whoever was in charge of this, like, look, at first I was okay with the way they were talking, and then I was like, oh wow, this is like just the choices they would make. Willow, the guy who's the show's the named after him, and he's supposed like he is so far from Gandalf, and I would expect him older.
We expect him to be like this kind of amazing wizard by this time because he has some talent, and then you're like, no, he's kind of just faking it most of the time.
Yeah.
Until the last 2 episodes where he's slinging magic like nobody's business, and you're like, how did he get here?
Right.
Like,
and not only that, he showed like none of the steps made sense. It showed like throughout that entire journey that it was hard for him to do.
Yeah. So in the film, like when he would do magic, like his
it
arm
would hurt, right?
Yeah. It was like he was trying to channel too much power, and he physically couldn't take it. And at the beginning of the series, it was the same story. We're like, oh, he didn't ever get over that. And they kind of alluded to the fact of, well, because you're not very good. Like you have a modicum of talent, but you're just not good enough to really control magic.
Yeah, he's like really good high school player, but you're never going to get to college.
Yeah. But it was like, you can teach other wizards a little bit.
Yeah.
Like some of the book smarts, I would say.
Right.
And maybe that would work out for the wizards in training. But then by the end of it, he's like, oh no. And he's slapping his staff down and creating all this magical stuff. And I'm like, where's the pain? Like, well, how did we get past this?
Right.
And we never did. They don't explain it.
That's the other part that I think you could say about this entire thing. They don't explain a lot, and they don't build up to anything. So when it happens, you're like, okay. And no, there was no build up. It felt like, Greg, to me, that they sat there and they came up with good ideas. And it reminded me a lot of what Disney did with the last 3 Star Wars motion pictures. It was, hey, we have these great ideas. We don't know where to go with them. We don't know. We don't know how to flush it out. We don't know how to make it.
Put them all in the movie, kind of, and then throw it on the wall and see what sticks.
Like the Gales, Knights of Ren. Both of you failed there.
With the whole Disney Plus aspect right now, kind of saved, except for some of the Marvel series. I don't think they quite fall into this category, but it feels like when Disney Channel, which is still a thing, and they have all the different Disney channels, when they come out with a new series, and it's mostly like an after school kind of made for kids.
Yeah.
Even like the old Nickelodeon shows like Hey Dude and, Camp Nowhere and stuff like that. It feels very much like that level of writing, that level of quality with decent actors. Like, we're going to pay for the decent actors, but we're going to kind of skimp on the writing and just hire some kids fresh out of college, or maybe they're just student scripts in general.
Right.
And it just doesn't flow. And
no, it doesn't flow. It's infuriating.
Yeah. And you could tell like they saved the bulk of their special effects budget to the last episode, or at least the last 2 episodes. And you're like, this doesn't work. Like, I don't know. If it gets a season 2, I don't know that I'm in.
I know I'm not in, which is a lie. I will actually turn it on to see, okay, how you
and that's what it's going to be. My family and I will be in for a couple episodes until until the quality just isn't there and they didn't learn any of their lessons. And then it'll be me having it on my 3rd computer screen while I'm doing data entry for work.
Oh, I will just look
paying attention
at somebody that actually spent the time. I will look at their review on YouTube.
That's
how I'll get caught up.
Yeah,
that's how I'll get caught up.
Tell me what the story points were. Okay, now I'm in the know.
Yeah, exactly. And why it makes me mad is because they built this great world, or Lucas did, and they even in this one they had great ideas. It started out fine. I was excited. I thought this is going to get better. And it never got there.
Never did.
And it took the hero with the beard, Borman. I thought he was good until he got annoying.
Right. He never
like he made a line at the last season, like, we're all gonna die. Do you three want to make out? I was like, they're kids. Where did that come from, you weirdo?
yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It was
what the
weird.
hell was that about? Like, oh no, like don't do that. Like, that was just really, that was in
Awkward.
poor taste. And I thought, what is that? And then the scene where Laura Dannon and Kit are talking to her brother, and they keep doing this back to back thing.
Yeah. Yep.
I was like, why are we I
Why are we
had
doing
Ursula
this?
watch just that scene. So she didn't watch any of it. She just watched that scene, and she goes, this is kind of confusing. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why they're doing that.
Yeah.
I was like, exactly.
There's a lot of things that make sense. So overall, it was a flop. Like,
Yeah, very, very bad. I think it was very bad. In my opinion, people don't waste your time on it. That's how I feel about it. So, all right. Yeah. So, Greg, I wanted to give you this opportunity because you brought something to my attention last week where the Wizards of the Coast, who is a company that owns a lot of these role-playing games or like Dungeons and Dragons and Magic of the Gathering and all of these things.
Yeah.
They came out and did something that I didn't fully understand until I had to do some research and go, oh, okay, now I know where Greg's coming from.
Yeah.
So, Greg, I'm gonna let you have the floor and explain what's going on there and how you feel about it.
So this does affect some things, like for people that could give a shit about Dungeons and Dragons. The idea, though, is that you've probably become socially aware of it, especially in the last couple of years. Like, the brand has grown tremendously.
Yeah, there's a movie coming out, actually.
There's a movie coming out. There's going to be a TV series coming out. There are podcasts galore of people playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Let me ask you a question real quick. Just the Amazon and the movie, are they connected?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Same property, but just same world, just different
different people, different events.
So Wizards of the Coast, also called WotC for short, they created Magic the Gathering, which is a ginormous customizable card game. Again, if you're not in the know, I understand, but the one thing you need to know is that internationally, like, and it pains me to say this, but I had the full first set of Magic the Gathering, the G1 set, and I sold it off piecemeal, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, because I just wasn't playing the game and I didn't care anymore. If I still had that today, I would, and sold it off for the face value of the cards, I would be in the millions of dollars.
Shut up.
Not kidding. Like,
that must make you sick.
A little bit, but at the same time, I didn't know any better. And as a collector of things, who knew? Like, who knew that when I was,
that has to be one of those situations
when I was
where it's
when I was 19 and just trying to sell off some of my Magic cards so I could go to a Comic-Con in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I made enough to go to the Comic-Con, but if I would have hung on to it, I could have paid off my house. I mean, no one knows that. Anyway, so that's how big this is for that community. So WotC saved Dungeons and Dragons back in the late 90s, early 2000s, because they bought it. Like, the company that created Dungeons and Dragons, TSR, was so upside down on all of their debts and was just going to be bankrupt and then was just going to go away. But the people that made Magic the Gathering, they were big Dungeons and Dragons fans. They took their passion for that kind of fantasy world and created their own game. So when the opportunity came up to buy it, they said, that's a great idea. So some changes later, and that they created a thing called third edition, and then they created a thing called fourth edition, and now we're in fifth edition. When they created third edition, one of the genius things they did was they created what was called the open gaming license. And the open gaming license said, here's what it is. We still own the rights to all of our characters, all of our fantasy settings like Forgotten Realms and Dragon, like that's all ours. But the way you play the game, the way you roll the dice, when you roll them, kind of the setup for the game, we're going to open that up so that anybody can use it free of charge. And what that did is it created a space for independent creators to start publishing their own stuff. and using that rule set. So it was compatible with the Dungeons and Dragons rule set. And I think, their original idea was, hey, if you want to do stuff on your own, create it, use our rules, no problem. Well, that was over 20 years ago. There are companies that have created, quite a plethora of gaming material. And so now WotC has been bought by Hasbro, the giant toy company. And that was also a couple of years ago. But Hasbro / WotC saying, yeah, we're going to change this open gaming license agreement and we're going to take a chunk of that. So if you're a publishing company that makes over 750,000 a year as a company, we're going to make you pay us 25% of your gross. So that's cutting into a lot of businesses, and it really hurts the overall community. And they had a couple other things in there. There's a lot of YouTube videos on there if you're really interested to go and check it out. And I can link to some in the descriptions down below when we post on Thursday. That it just, what they essentially did is they gave the middle finger to all independent creators and to the gamers themselves. Like they said, we don't care what you want to do. We have come to realize that the brand of Dungeons and Dragons is much more valuable than the game of Dungeons and Dragons, which is why you're seeing things like the movie coming out. You're going to see a new series from Amazon. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to release some kind of animated thing. There's more t-shirts. There's just more stuff with the stamp of Dungeons and Dragons on it. And what they're saying is, we're going to hold that. All you third-party publishers, go ahead and make the game for us using our rules. And that's what the tabletop gamers, that's what they'll use. And then you just give us a cut of what you make.
So how do you see this affecting the average guy that gets together with his group? How do you see this affecting them long term?
Honestly, I'm not saying this for sure, because what we know right now is because of a leaked draft. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is written in stone right now. What happened was a staffer at WotC
that thought was, what the fuck is this?
Had a draft of this. Yeah. And what we're hearing is that most of the creators that are there that are gamers themselves are like, this is some corporate shill bullshit. Like, we're not on board with this.
Yeah. So it's some guy up in Hasbro that I'm just assuming it's some guy in Hasbro that said, hey guys, what's going on here?
Some suit in Hasbro who's probably never played D&D a day in his life.
Yeah.
Is saying, we can make a lot more money of this as a brand and not just a tabletop role-playing game.
Yeah.
So what I think is, so this happened on January 5th. This leak came out of this draft.
Okay.
And the gaming community has been going apeshit since then. Like, no one's happy. So a couple other entities, one company called Pazzo, they published a game called Pathfinder and Starfinder, which is using the 3rd edition rules of D&D. That's still their basic rule set. And they're a gigantic publisher. They came out and said, okay, if you're going to actually do this, we're going to come up with our own gaming system, invite all those other third press people
and we'll
to use our system, again, free of charge, so that it's just like it is now, but they're going to take that market share. And if Hasbro and WotC actually follow through with this, that's what I see happening. Like, like the people that still have all the books, and you can't see it, but I got a shelf back here full of D&D books. Like, I would still use that to a point, but honestly, we'll probably just jump over to Pathfinder.
Does that change the sites that we go on to? And
D&D Beyond won't be a thing that we use anymore, but Pathfinder has their own stuff. So there will be digital gameplay still. It'll just be a couple rules tweaks that we'll just have to get used to. And that's what I see happening is the most of the gaming community would kind of say to, fuck you to WotC and Hasbro, and D&D is going to turn into a brand that is going to quickly fizzle away because gamers are really loyal in terms of boycotting. So like,
Okay.
if
Yeah.
if this goes through, and if this goes through before the movie comes out, the movies will have a general public duel, but there's going to be millions of D&D fans that are going to say we're not seeing it. So they're going to lose out on market share there.
Okay.
So I mean, because imagine like you saw Gen Con,
Yeah.
and that's just a fraction of the gaming community that can make it
Yeah.
there. A
Yeah.
lot of those people aren't going to go see the movie. Or a lot of those people aren't going to watch the show. They will still watch things like Critical Role, because Critical Role has created their own world using the open gaming license. Like
I see.
that's one of those companies that's using the open gaming license to create their own thing and has published their own thing in partnership with WotC. And once that's broken, like Critical Role is going to be like, well, fine, we'll go somewhere else, or we'll create our own system, or whatever it's going to be.
Well, I'm sure the people at Pathfinder would actually reach out to them then and say, "Hey,
yeah, if you're an executive at Pazzo right now, you're really keeping an eye on this, because it's like,
of course,
there's a lot of market share. I mean, it's
can, like,
still business, but they're like,
there's going to be a vacuum and you can suck it
step
all up."
Step right. They've already said
Yeah.
we're going to create our own system. We're going to call it the Orc system, the open role playing content something, I think is what it's called. But
Okay.
again, it was a draft, so I'm really kind of waiting to see the
Do you think it might have been leaked out on? Obviously, it was leaked out on purpose. But my question is, the motive behind the leak, was it to see how people would react, or was it somebody going, "Oh, this is bullshit," and he sent it out?
Certainly a part of me that says this wasn't leaked out by some pissed off Wizards staffer.
Yeah.
This was like the VP of PR or marketing saying,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to do this. It's going to be like a secret. We're going to do it. And we're going to see how the community responds. And the community did not respond well.
Yeah.
They went silent and went.
Do you feel throughout the years, the community has never responded well? So what I mean by that is are people are going to look at the community and go, well, they never respond well, but look, man, everything's fine. They're still.
When third edition came out, everybody was like, what? I got to buy all new books. What are you talking about? When fourth edition came out, we were like, okay, I don't, why are we doing, like, we're pretty happy with what we have. I don't get it. And then when fourth edition failed and fifth edition came out, we went, oh my, and I didn't buy it like for a long time. It's been out. 20 years might be too long, but well, in like 10, 14 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Fifth edition's been out and I didn't buy it for a really long time until I finally broke down and talked to enough of my former gaming group, not the one we're in now, but a group of guys from college. And I was like, they're like, no, we've been playing it. It's good. And I was like, is it? Like, I haven't. So that's why I was like, okay, let me dip my toes in here and see what's going on. Oh, they've got some content. Okay, this is good. And then when like the community started to kind of rise up, and like we had the birth of Critical Role and like the celebrity D&D gamer, and the world started to kind of jump in on D&D, and I'm like, oh, well, let's really check this out, because now this could be really cool.
I see. Okay.
To really, like, there is going to be content. There is going to be, both digital and physical stuff that's going to be great for the community again. And so far it's been really good. And now they just came out and shot themselves in the foot, and we'll see what happens with it.
Well, it's kind of funny, man, but that's how it kind of works out when money starts becoming the reason. You kind of lose stuff. You just you lose it. You get too greedy.
They lose sight of it. And this is, same thing happened to Star Wars when Disney took over. I mean, they just kind of commercialized it, and they're more about the brand than they are the actual content. And some of it's good and some of it's not.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Right.
I'm disappointed that they even tested the waters, but I'm still in a wait and see.
Wait and see mode. Yeah. So it has been quite a while since we've actually been on the air talking about whatever life's thrown at us. Is there anything that I can't remember right now that has happened in the last, I would say, month? It's been about 4 weeks since we've been on here. So Is there anything that's happened that we might want to address? Like, how about the idea of saying no to Henry Cavill, but yes to the Flash dude, whatever his name is, Ezra Miller?
Honestly, I think that has more to do that they have a movie in the can right now with the Flash. Like they're just waiting for that to come out. I don't think that they can say
no,
Ezra Miller's no longer the Flash until after that movie has been
come out. Makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense.
That's
I believe that movie is critical because I think that's going to be resetting the entire thing.
That could be it. That could be the Flash.
You're going to go from I think it's called the DCEU to now. I'll just call it the Gunn and I don't know the other guy's name. Gunn and Safran universe.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I don't know what they're going to call it, but I think that could be the crux film.
Yeah.
Because it's probably not going to be Shazam.
Right.
I don't think that's going to be the crux film.
I agree.
Aquaman, which comes out at some point. I can't remember when. Christmas, maybe. But that's just going to be like a one-off. Like they're not going to do much with that. I'm interested to see what the DCU. I mean, where they're going to take it. And honestly, they have a pretty good blueprint that worked in the animated series. Like when the JLA came out, they focused on this handful of characters, and they did that for how many seasons, and it was super successful. And then they came out with JLA Unlimited or Justice League Unlimited, where they brought in kind of those third tier kind of unknown characters, and
those are great. I love them.
They have great episodes, and so
they do.
Maybe if they focus on that kind of formula, like they need to have JLA, they need to cast it well, but then get a couple movies under your belt and then start to play with it a little bit. I guess what I would like to see. I mean, you're going to have the JLA movie, which is going to focus on kind of those major Justice League characters.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like everybody's questioning, like Green Lantern, what are you going to do with him? It's a Green Lantern Corps, so they have honestly a lot of characters they could bring in.
That's an entire universe in itself.
And then what I'm talking about is that you could do these little things that you don't have to try to like establish much, because they do a disservice, I think, to the fan base or even just like the normal viewer. Like, if you want to know what the Green Lantern is like, at the very least, go watch the Ryan Reynolds movie. Is it a great film? No, but it gives you an idea of what the Green Lanterns are and what they do. Fine. So for this movie, have 3 Green Lanterns there. You got Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, John Stewart. They're all there. And they're like, well, who's going to stick around to help out Earth for this one? And they decide who it is, and the other 2 go away. And that's all you need to know. There's space cops that wear green rings, and this is the one that we have for this movie. Oof, done.
There you go.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
And like Batman, have him be there, kind of like totally. Like, we never see him. All we do is hear about him. He's sending cryptic emails or leaving cryptic messages or something like that. But leave him like the absolute mystery that's just, he's going to be the freaky one. Like, we don't ever need to see.
It's always, or you could just create the end credit scene with just Batman watching it on some sort of camera and then taking down notes. And that's all you really need. Yeah. I mean, or he's putting it in a file or
keep him as an absolute mystery that he's supposed to be. I mean, half the people in Gotham aren't supposed to think he actually exists.
Yeah.
So you can't have him around.
Well, let's hope Gunn knows Gunn and Safran know what they're doing.
And I honestly trust Gunn. I mean, he's taken some honestly characters that nobody cares about and has made really good movies with them.
But let me ask you a question. Do you trust Gunn with a solo act?
Sure. Yeah.
Everything I've seen him with, he always has
a team.
It's a team, and there's always little crazy teammates. They all have their little flaws and their little things.
So you're still gonna have a cast, but I really like Peacemaker. Where Peacemaker's
I never actually watched it.
Dude, you should watch Peacemaker.
Okay. I will. It's
ridiculous. It's good. It shows more depth from John Cena than I ever thought he had as an actor.
Okay.
So yeah, it's decent.
Yeah.
And is every episode knocking out of the park? No, but
No,
overall,
never. I don't know any episode that ever is.
I went like every week. I was there, man. Like
Yeah.
Sunday night, we're watching Peacemaker.
Okay. All right. So there were a couple of shows that you wanted me to watch. One of them was called The Recruit on Netflix.
Yep, on Netflix.
By the way, great show. Anybody who has not watched that, go watch that. It's actually very good, well written.
Good CIA show.
Yeah. And the one thing that I came away watching that was, God, I hope the CIA doesn't operate like that. Like, I hope everybody is not trying to literally backstab each other for not just to take a step up, but it's literally so they don't have to do work, or they literally don't want to be blamed for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, I hope it doesn't. I hope it's not like that everywhere. And then I was watching Jack Ryan, and it's the same situation with the CIA, where the CIA head guy has all these operatives out there doing their thing, and they keep telling them there's a threat, there's a threat, there's a threat. And they're like, no. And I'm thinking, my God, I hope this doesn't happen. Yeah. Like, I hope people aren't doing that. So those are my thoughts on that. But I did want to go back to another show I watched on Netflix called I think it was The Glass Onion. It was a Knives Out, The Glass Onion. That was fantastic. And all I thought of during that entire movie was, wow, Greg's right. I see it now. I see how Batista is the best actor out of all the wrestlers that have come out.
Yeah.
He's really good.
He's really good.
Yeah. And then
I'm
there's
looking forward
a new
to
one. Yeah, the Knock on the Cabin.
Knock on the Cabin.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I want to see. He said that is I recently read an interview with him, because in the next Guardians movie, it's his last role as Drax. Like, yes,
which it should be.
Yeah, he's
guy's like 50 something, 60 something. Like, no, he can't keep doing this.
Well, and not only that, I mean, when you hear about him, he's like, I had to fight for them to get so that Drax could wear a shirt.
Right.
And he's like, and they really missed the boat. The character has a lot more depth than being what he is.
Right. Well, he kind of fell into this goofy character.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's his last bit on that, but he talks about this Knock at the Cabin is going to be the most he's ever spoken in a role. And is it Frank Darabont or Darren Aronofsky? Whoever directed the last Blade Runner film.
Oh, him?
Yeah. Whoever.
I thought this is M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, the Knock at the Cabin is, but because he did another movie with the guy that did Blade Runner, but he literally, maybe it was Ryan Johnson. I think it was Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson did Glass Onion.
Yeah, who also did Blade Runner. And he's like, when he calls up, he's like, I'm there, man. Like, anytime he wants me to do a movie of his, I'm in.
I'm there. No questions asked.
I thought that was good. I brought up my list. I'm keeping a running list of things that I watched this year. Out there on Internet Movie Database under the name Jotham Knight. You can look up those lists. Let's see. I've watched so far this year. We've watched The Witcher Blood Origin on Netflix.
Not good, I heard.
It was okay.
Okay.
A lot more. The last episode, I was like, I guess I wanted a little bit more witchery kind of things, but overall it wasn't bad. Kids made me go see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Yeah, and
not bad.
Okay.
Like, much better. Right. The animation style I kind of liked. Yeah. And they're it opens up like maybe they're going to do another Shrek film. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be like Shrek with teenagers or what it is, because it's been that long. But on Amazon Prime, I watched The Rig. The Rig with a bunch of actors from Game of Thrones. It's the same, I think, casting company.
What's The Rig about?
The Rig is an oil rig in the was it the North Sea? I think it is. So super dangerous, very cold. Like, now, not a place where you can fall in and live, you know. And it's an oil rig, and they come across something mysterious, and then some weird things happen.
Oh, cool. Okay, is it interesting?
Yeah. Very. It was
worth it for totally like Ursula and I to watch it.
8 episodes in, very good.
Great.
Vikings Valhalla season 2 just dropped. I'm into that. I think it's fun. Treason on Netflix is a good follow-up to The Recruit.
I've heard that. I've heard Treason's very good.
Yeah,
Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox, yes,
Daredevil.
and Snarian Hines is in it as well. Really good MI6 mystery. Latest season of Letterkenny came out. Totally disappointed in that. Wasn't real happy with that at all.
Okay.
It's like 6 episodes, and they're only a half hour piece, so it's 20 minutes when you watch them on Hulu. And there's really no. I mean, it's just
if you can send to our Instagram or post Instagram that thing you sent to the group about
the Bard.
Yes. That was hilarious. That was hilarious.
There are some great moments in that show.
There are fantastic moments in that show, actually.
And like that moment that I sent you, I didn't feel like this last season had anything even close to that. So that's why I was a little disappointed.
Greg made me watch it the first time, and I thought, this is dumb. And then I watched it again, and it's almost like eating something like, I'm trying to think of something that's a required taste. And after beer, it's like beer.
Yeah.
Like when you're the first time you ever drink a beer, I don't know any kid that goes, yeah, that's good stuff. Like usually you go, oh shit, you drink that?
It's bad.
You know, yeah. And then all of a sudden, somewhere along the line, I think your palate changes or something happens and you start enjoying it. And as you get older, you enjoy it more.
Sure.
Like the taste, like there's something very refreshing about it. Like, especially after, like we've talked about this, like after you mow the lawn or do some yard work and you grab one, nothing better on this earth.
Yep.
I'm still actually one of those very few people that like beer with pizza.
Oh, I didn't know I didn't know that there were people out there that didn't like it. Like I love beer and pizza.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of it. I'd rather have honestly, I think Coke and pizza is like fantastic. I haven't had Coke in 10 years, but I mean, I have my alternative, my alternate ones.
Yeah.
Even that with it is fun, great. I can't do a
both.
beer. I can't do a beer with pizza. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't, my taste buds don't understand it. So
I don't get it. I don't get it why you don't get it, but
yeah.
I watched The Menu. That's
any good? Ursula's in the middle of it.
Oh yeah. That's good. It's weird. Like you got to know that going in. Like it's
out there.
It's weird. It's not going to be for everybody. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
On my own, like last Friday, I just watched the Matilda musical on Netflix because I had heard some really good things about it. I like musicals. I know you're not a big fan, but I watched it, and Emma Thompson is fantastic.
No, I'm sorry. Did you say musicals? I fell asleep.
Yes, yeah, I know. Shut up. Again, if you're into musicals, it's going to be a great one. If you like Ronald Dahl stories, he's the guy who did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Willy Wonka. It's in the same vein as those. So if you know what you're getting into, it was fun. I mean,
let me ask you this. Do we need to see another movie of Willy Wonka?
I don't think so, but Hollywood seems to think we do.
So it's another one's coming out?
Yeah, it's with my daughter's big crush right now. So
who's who?
Timothy Chalamet is playing Willy Wonka.
Timothy Chalamet? Which daughter has a crush? She moved off of Spider-Man?
Oh, no, that's still there, but she's still a big, yeah. The thing about teenage girls, John, is that they will have multiple crushes.
Oh, I know. I wasn't a teenage girl once, but I was a teenage boy, and I had multiple.
Yeah. So it's the same.
I still have crushes on girls.
Same thing. Yeah. And then Chris and I watched The Banshees of Inisherin. It's Colin Farrell just won a Golden Globe for his performance in there, and Brendan Gleeson. And so we watched it. It's one of those, like, it's gonna be up for Oscars, but
I don't get it.
They're like, it's a comedy. I'm like, I'm not laughing.
Yeah, I forgot that's coming into my world right now. We're gonna start hearing a lot of Oscar buzz and a lot of this shit, and I have to watch a bunch of bullshit movies that I'm gonna be like,
Golden Globes were just a couple, like last weekend.
Oh God!
So it's one of those things where like you watch it and you're just waiting for it to be funny.
Yeah.
And there's a couple things you're like, where it just doesn't. You're like, if that's supposed to be the funny part, that's tragic. And
okay,
is it acted well? Yes, it's acted well. Is there some production quality to it? Sure. It's like early 19th century. It's an island that's part of Ireland, but they're not mainland Ireland.
Okay.
So they're here during the Irish Civil War. They're hearing gunshots in the distance and seeing like flashes of explosions and stuff, but the war isn't really affecting this small island.
Okay.
And everybody's stuck there because it's an island, and everybody knows everybody, and you're just, I don't know, it just doesn't hit. The idea is, it would be like if you and I were close to each other, we saw each other every day, we hit the pub every afternoon, and then I show up to pick you up from the pub one day, and you're just like, no, not going. And then you do show up, and then I try to talk to you, and you're just kind of like, you know what, I don't like you anymore.
Oh.
And I would be like, well, what do you mean you don't like me anymore? And you're like, I don't want to be around you. Don't talk to me anymore. Like, ever again. Don't talk to me.
And we're on an island.
And we're on an island. Yes.
Okay.
And so as your best friend, I'm going, what's going on? Are you okay?
Yeah.
And you're like, don't talk to me. And so and this is supposed to be the funny parts. And you're like,
that's supposed to be funny.
That's supposed to be funny. Of Colin Farrell dealing with the idea of his best friend, Brendan Gleeson, like just completely rejecting him. And it gets,
how do you know it's supposed to be funny?
Because it's sold as a comedy. Like when you look at it, they're like, it is like, I'm looking at the thing right now on IMDb. It says comedy/drama.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, there's nothing funny about this. But again, when like I brought up the Oscars, because there's going to be Oscar buzz around this, like the Hollywood community, the art house community, they're going to be like, it was so good. It was so the performances. And I mean, it was just so,
depth.
It was so deeply funny.
How he got there.
Yeah. And like the general public's like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh no, I've been there for quite a few.
I was just gonna, do you remember the movie Day Shift that came out on Netflix?
Yes.
And it was a terrible vampire movie.
Yes.
That was more of a comedy than this movie.
Okay. I can see that.
So like the general public, us, is going to be going, I'm not into that at all. Yeah. Like I would rather go watch Day Shift again than to watch this again.
Yeah.
And it's going to win a bunch of awards, and people are going to question the sanity of the Academy again. So yeah. And that's
I mean, guys, the Academy's there to blow themselves. Just FYI.
Yeah. They're just
so you know, when somebody when I finally understood what the Oscars were about, I could care less after that.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that I think I'm interested on is when things like Will Smith going up and slapping Chris Rock. That makes me go, oh, hey, what's going on over here?
Did you see Eddie Murphy's?
Yes, I believe either you sent it to me or I sent it to you.
Yeah, in the Golden Globes.
Yes,
he won the Cecil B. DeMille Award for longevity in a career.
Yes.
And he's like, I've done 3 things in my career.
Yes.
Like the whole time.
Follow all these 3 things, you will be
successful.
Yep.
And the first 2 are like some honest pieces of advice.
Like show up on time, do the work, or something like that.
Learn your lines, do the work, and keep Will Smith's name out your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
it was hilarious. It was very good. It was very good. Yeah. I'm wondering if he's probably daring Will to come and get him.
I don't think he cares. I mean,
I think when you're Eddie, what is Eddie Murphy now?
He's in his
late 50s,
early 60s. But you know what? I've got the page up right here, John. I can go look.
Yeah. How old is Eddie Murphy?
And he's another one. Like, what's the last good Eddie Murphy movie you
saw? I don't know. I think he kind of gave up after a while.
Because he was making nothing but shit films.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think he gave up after the last Coming to America. After that, he just kind of stopped making.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even watch the second one.
I didn't watch it either.
He will be 62 in April.
Wow, he looks great for 62. To be honest,
he does look good.
Yeah,
he's kind of kept it together. But yeah, I mean he did some stand up.
I
Feeding
heard, yeah, I
America
heard he
Comedy.
left to go do stand up again because I get that. You kind of want to go back to your roots, maybe find yourself again, type thing.
Yeah, I did watch on Netflix. There's one called Dolomite Is My Name, and it's
Oh,
all about like the blaxploitation Dolomite films where he
okay.
plays the guy. Honestly, that was a pretty good movie. And
Yeah.
it came out in 2019, but it was a pretty good movie. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, everything else since then is like a couple Saturday Night Live appearances.
I
And
remember, I remember
uh,
watching that one movie with him and Steve Martin where he plays this
oh
weirdo and you
yeah,
never understood what the hell was going on here. Like
oh, Norbit. No, not Norbit.
Norbit. Yes.
Nope, 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 nope,
Yes. No.
nope. That's not the
Oh,
one with Steve
Norbit
Martin.
was when he was a robot, right?
No, he
No,
was like
that was
he played
that's Jupiter or something.
he
Or
played a nerdy dude, and then like the nerdy dude's like obese wife. Bowfinger is the one with Steve Martin.
you're right, Bowfinger. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, you look at his.
Oh, they're horrible.
He's like, yeah.
What's the last good movie? Go back to Eddie Murphy. When's the last good movie he was in? I mean, like that we all remember that was a hit. Was it Coming to America?
Well, like I said,
First one.
Dolomite wasn't bad, but that wasn't like a big.
Right.
That was a Netflix straight to Netflix one. I'm not gonna count his like the Donkey Christmas special. Not gonna count that.
No, don't count Shrek.
I mean, Shrek the Third, which was a successful film, was 2007.
Okay, so it's been a while.
And in between
But
that,
I don't know if you
Shrek
can
the
give
Third,
them. Yeah, but I don't know if you can. I can't give him a movie where he just supplied the voice.
So the last one that he was in that was a good film and a good performance, he was actually nominated for an Oscar for, which is Dreamgirls, 2006.
Oh yeah, okay, okay.
And he lost. He didn't win Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
And then he got up and left the Oscar. He was front row.
Oh, he's
and
pissed.
And he lost. I remember they cut to him, and his face is just like he was upset that he didn't win. And then they never cut to him again. And then a couple of those big sweeping shots.
Yes.
He was
Shows
gone.
him walking out.
And this wasn't like in one of those where they're all in tables, like sitting with, I mean, they were in rows.
Yeah.
So that's what the Oscars are. And so like you could tell, like there's two seats here that are visibly empty all the time.
Yeah.
Yep. And those were his seats because he got up and left.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time since he had a real good film, which is weird. Do you think somebody would write him something that was great?
Or you think he would write something? Like,
yeah.
You know, he was pretty I heard like he ad-libbed most of Beverly Hills Cop.
You know, that's a good point. I'm just looking at stuff that he acted in. Maybe he wrote something or something. Yeah. Nothing for writing. He did try to get that Beverly Hills Cop TV show off the ground about 7 years ago, and that didn't go anywhere.
Why? That's not something like we were talking. I think we were talking last week that how lucky Vin Diesel hit that Fast and Furious stuff, and like now he's going to be very he's rich beyond his belief because of he just hit something lucky, and I think a lot of people are going back to that stuff to try to bring it back and make it a franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at his writing credits. I'm looking at his producing credits. It's nothing really.
Yeah. I think he also just kind of took off for a while.
Yeah.
And just just got the paycheck.
You know, there's something interesting about that. I mean, that I just saw, oh shit. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about this person is like in their 90s and they're still have a project, or 80s or something. Like, man, we really don't let people retire in the entertainment industry. Like they don't ever take a step back. And same with like Harrison Ford. Like Harrison Ford's in his 80s, right?
Oh my God, that guy.
Like he needs to either start taking the old man roles.
Yes.
Or just fucking retire. Like, what are you hanging on to, man? Just retire. You got the money. You don't just
Exactly.
The people
and
that
you almost seem grumpy and mad that people still want your attention from you. He seems always grumpy. I get it. If you're 80, you're pissed off a lot.
Well, And I mean, there are some actors that have retired and just stepped away from making films.
Yes.
They're still alive. They're doing fun. Like Gene Hackman. Like Gene Hackman retired 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And he lives in Colorado. He actually visits my hometown every once in a while, which I found out about, which was interesting. But he's retired.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm done making films. That's it.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson has retired. Like,
has he?
Sure, he's not making anything anymore.
I don't know. I don't keep up with that stuff. I thought he did. How old is Samuel L. Jackson?
He's in his
he's got to be in his 60s, right?
Yeah, he is. He was born. Oh, where is it at? I have his birthday up in front here. Oh my God. Yeah, he was born in 1948.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's 65, 66.
Like if I wanted a career, it would be his career. Like you were in everything. And you're not that big of a movie star that where if you have a flop, people are mad at you about it type thing.
But remember, like his career
started late.
Very late. Like he before Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of Samuel L. Jackson around.
People weren't looking for Samuel L. Jackson.
Correct. Correct.
I mean, he's got a ton of credits here.
I know.
I'm going back. I mean,
there's his
first credit was in 19.
He would put out movies like 2 to 3 movies every year.
His first credit was as Stan in Together for Days in 1972. And it's really hit and miss.
Yeah.
They say the first thing that people really recognized him in is Coming to America, where he plays the guy who holds up the McDowells.
Yep.
But then after that, I mean, even after Coming to America, it's a couple different movies. He had a bit role in Do the Right Thing. Some more stuff I have never heard of. Mo Better Blues in 1990.
Okay, so he was working before he became Samuel L. Jackson. He was working. Okay,
very much so. Okay. And then, I mean, you can see where he had little parts in these films, Thieves and Patriot Games. I don't remember him in there at all. Loaded Weapon 1. I remember that. That was a
horrendous
National Lampoon spoof.
Loaded Weapon. Oh,
cop
Lethal
movies.
Weapon. Yeah.
Jurassic Park in 93.
Yeah.
And then Pulp Fiction hit in 94. And that's where he really became.
Yeah, skyrocketed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. I think we're good.
Probably.
Yeah. Hey, for those of you that are still listening to us, still watching to us, how many people we got actually watching? 4 of you. Okay.
4.
So the 4 of you, make sure you guys realize we are going to try YouTube next week. Again, It's very simple. Go onto YouTube and just subscribe to Johnny and the Angel podcast. We're already up there. We've been up there since we've been doing this
whole time.
And hit the notification button that will alert your phone. Yeah, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That will totally let you know when we're going live again. And that way you just pop on that instead of on Facebook. All right. And I hope to see you there.
I will still share the link to Facebook when we go live. So it'll still pop up on your Facebook and then port you over to
boom.
YouTube.
Thank you, Greg. Greg, anything in the new year, or is it still the same catchphrase?
Kind of still, the same thing. Just don't be a douche in the new
year. There you go. All right. So for the Greg, this is Johnny saying we're back. We had a lot of fun. You guys take care. Podcast out. Goodbye and good night.